Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to another podcast, Inside Polling. One campaign day to go. One campaign day to go tomorrow, Monday. Yesterday, we came out with one poll. I'm loaded with polls today. And the most shocking poll, maybe in the history ever, has come out. And I know that sounds like clickbait. It's not. The most respected, the most accurate, the one pollster that everybody believes in, A+ rating, comes out, Des Moines Register, every year. Around this time, last night broke it with a Harris lead in Iowa. This is a state that Trump took by 8 points, 9 points in the last two elections, showing a Harris lead by 3 points. It shocked the pollster world. Any poll could be off. Every pollster is going to be wrong. But Selzer, who runs it out there for the Des Moines Register, doesn't get it wrong. Had it in 2012 by 1 point, off. Had it in 16, off by a point. Had it shockingly in 16 when everybody thought Iowa was, remember, Iowa went to Obama twice, the Democrat, twice. In 16, it was thought to be a huge battleground. Hillary was there, Trump was there, showing even in the polls. Selzer comes out, Des Moines Register, showing Trump with a 7-point lead. Shocked the world. She shocked the world in 16. He ends up winning by just around 9 points. 2020, when everyone thinks Biden's running away with the race, she shocks the world with a Trump +7 in Iowa. She ends up being basically on the number. Okay? So she's been accurate every single presidential year. If this is accurate, if this is correct, and everybody, all the analysis right now is scared about thinking the Seltzer could be wrong with this poll. All of the history tells us it's wrong. The Iowa being a lot more Republican than it was back in 16, you would think it would be wrong. We'll dig into that poll last, and we'll get into a little bit of the details of it. Let's go through all the other polls. There was another Iowa poll yesterday. Emerson, who has not done a poll there, another grade A group, shows Trump +10. And I'm going to show you just Saturdays first, and then I'm going to rip through Sundays. These all came in last night. Wisconsin, Atlas, showed it a tie, now a Trump +1. That's a gain by Trump +1. Michigan was a tie. This is a Atlas also, shows a Trump +2. That's a gain of 2 points for Trump. Pennsylvania, Atlas, Trump +1, now a Trump +2. North Carolina, Atlas, Trump +4, it's Trump +4. Georgia, Atlas, Trump +2, stays the same. Arizona, Trump +4, now showing Trump +6. It's a gain of 2 for Trump in Arizona. Nevada was Trump +4, showing a Trump +6 also in Nevada. That's a gain of 2 for Trump. Atlas, on a national level, Trump +2, still Trump +2. So you can see we've got polls running this way, and we've got polls running this way. They're all in that same range, somewhere between Harris +2 and Trump +2. Who do you believe? Who's going to be right? Atlas is gambling it's going to be Trump. Some others are gambling that it's going to be Harris. Let's go through YouGov's final poll. Shows Harris +1. We move to today. NBC had its last national poll. Had it as a tie before. It's tie again. TIPP, that one that we've been watching daily, was an even. Now it's a Trump +1. Emerson comes out with their national poll. Had it as a tie, still a tie. ABC comes out with their poll from 2 weeks ago. It was Harris +4. Now they're showing Harris +3, a gain of Trump +1 in 2 weeks. Let's go to Pennsylvania. New York Times. Now we got a slew of New York Times, so I'm not even going to read it. These are all going to be New York Times for the rest of the way. Pennsylvania, Harris +3, now a tie. I'm sorry, I got one more that wasn't New York Times. Muhlenberg College in Pennsylvania was a tie, showing Harris +2. Okay, so a gain of Harris +2. The two polls Totally different. New York Times has Harris +3 before, now a tie. And this one had a tie, but now shows Harris +2. Both swinging opposite ways. Who's right? Who's wrong? Is New York Times right or is Muhlenberg College right? Nobody knows. All the rest of New York Times. Michigan, Harris +1 before, showing a tie. Gain of Trump +1. Wisconsin, Harris +2. Now still the same. Harris +2. In Wisconsin, I think it's going to be a tough state for Trump to win. If he does, it's going to be over nationwide. Arizona, we got Trump +5 before, now showing Trump +4. These are all New York Times polls. Nevada, Trump +1 before, showing a Harris +3. Gain of Harris 4 points in Nevada, New York Times. Harris +3. Georgia, Trump +4 before in Georgia. Now a Harris +1, a 5-point swing in this New York Times poll, putting Harris in the lead by 1, where it showed Trump up by 4. North Carolina was Trump +2, now shows Harris +2 in North Carolina. So let's look at New York Times real quick. It shows Harris leading North Carolina by 2, Georgia by 1, and Nevada by 3, and Wisconsin by 2, giving Trump Arizona, showing a tie in Michigan, and Pennsylvania being a tie. So right here, this is probably a Harris victory, if that played out. So New York Times or Atlas, who was most accurate in 2020, not known historically. So with that, I'm going to take you through a little bit of the averages, and then we'll get to that one poll in Iowa. Okay? Okay, so here are the averages. Pennsylvania, Trump 0.3 up. North Carolina, Trump 1.4. Georgia, Trump 2.3. Arizona, Trump 2.9. Wisconsin, Harris 0.3. Michigan, Harris 0.6. Nevada, Trump 1.2. Senate stays the same as we were. Republicans going to take West Virginia. The Republicans looking good out in Montana, and everything else staying pretty well where we were the last couple days, with Democrats still holding on to leads everywhere with that. So let's get to that poll. Okay, let's get to the Iowa poll. And we'll just talk a little bit about what the pollsters are saying, because Nate Cohen with New York Times, who is considered kind of these pollster magicians, with Nate Silver, who used to be with 538, who's on his own now. So Silver is basically saying that the pollsters are all finding this middle ground out of fear, that they're all in this, there's no outliers. No one's got the guts to do it. Cohen, New York Times, has been stating and said over the last 48 hours, people are afraid after missing in 6. Now, remember, this is their business. We got to think about it this way. This is your job, right? This is what they do. This is what they get paid for. Polling could be, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 each poll. These are not free things. You just have somebody call. It's a ton of money, and a ton of money in this business. And obviously, if you're a Democratic pollster, you love that, because Democratic parties, Congress people, senators, presidential candidates, if you're thinking about running, you call these pollsters up and they do it for you and they get paid. It's a big money business. So they don't want to be wrong. They were wrong in 2016 because people were deathly afraid of saying the word Trump was going, that's who I was supporting. They, first of all, have never thought that the blue collar worker was going to be sliding to Trump, and they just didn't have the numbers correctly, right? I talked about a couple of days ago, the theory that in the rural areas, okay, it's a little bit Republican, but split between blue collar workers, union workers were Democrats. Now they're Republicans. In the city, urban areas, used to be always, hugely Democrat, 95-5. Well, now it's crept. The Hispanic vote was always Democrat. Well, now that's Republican. They are so mixed up since 16, since Trump cuts in, and it's really something I want you all to start thinking about. What does this Republican Party look like without Trump? How many votes did Trump bring? How many demographics did Trump bring? How many demographics did Trump hurt? The women vote. But all of the others getting a little more black vote, getting a little more Hispanic vote, getting blue collar workers on their side, that has been pro-Trump. So where this all leads me is they were so confused in 16. In 20, after Trump was president for 4 years, people were also, concerned about you. If you use the word Trump in 20's election, hey, you're racist, you're this, you're that, instantly, right? So people were afraid to say the word Trump. They had a hard time grasping and finding that demographic again in polling. So what they have found out, I gave you the two statements by Cohen and Silver, what they said about this year. And Cohen basically said they are definitely afraid this business model of polling, forget about pollsters are right or pollsters are wrong and there's good or bad. This is a business first, that they are afraid to miss again for the third time and be out of business. If you can't show me that your poll is accurate, why should I call you when I'm running for Congress in Wisconsin, or I'm going to run for president and I would like to see how my name is going around certain states, or I am the president or I'm running against the president, or I'm a governor? This is a humongous business. But if you're wrong all the time, I'm not hiring you. I'm hiring someone who's figured out a way to properly poll my state, my country, my demographic. And who is that? 8 years ago, Trafalgar predicted it accurately, but that was the only polling because they were a Republican poll, and their numbers were much more on Trump's side. No one saw that coming, but they were right. But they were not right in 20, and they were definitely wrong in 22. So this is where the traditional polling companies have suffered. And the word on the street, what Cohen is saying, they don't want to be wrong again. So here's a statement. Before New York Times hit today, their polling, right? I read you all the polls from New York Times. This is from the New York Times. This is a quote. Across these final polls, white Democrats were 16% likelier to respond than white Republicans. That's a larger disparity than our earlier polls this year. And it's not much better than our final polls in 2020, even with the pandemic over. It raises the possibility that the polls could underestimate Mr. Trump yet again. So the theory on the street is this: they can't be wrong. They're deathly afraid of having outliers. And they're deathly afraid of showing Harris up in a big way. Because if Trump wins, they're not out of business. That does not show well for their performance. I mean, you're a kicker in the NFL and you miss 3 big kicks in a row in the Super Bowl, you're not coming back. Let's go into the Iowa poll. Let's dig in. So cells are there. We talked about it. Gold standard poll, A+ rated, most respected pollster in the country. In June, had Trump up by 18 points over Biden. This poll also in September shocked a little bit of everybody by showing Trump only up by 4 over Harris in September. Trump won by 9 in 16 and 8 in 20. So think about it. When the stats came in, And Seltzer looked at it. And Cohen and Silver have been saying nobody's got the guts to put up the real number or a big number for Harris. Well, here it comes across her desk. Miss Seltzer, I know you're going to be shocked, but we have Harris leading this race. Leading? By 1? By tie? By 0.5? No, by 3. So let's dig in a little deeper. I'll show you what was in the poll. Independent women broke to Harris by 28 points. 28 points. We'll see a 10-point to 14-point disparity, 17-point possibly. 28 points on independent women, not Democrats, independent. Senior women, 65 and over, 2-1 to Harris. Senior men favored Harris, +2. Seniors as a whole voted for Trump in 2020 when he lost by 7 percentage points. No one's campaigned there. No one has spent a dollar. There's been no rallies. No one has even thought about it. Both camps. Emerson poll that came out that showed Trump up by 10 on the same day. If you look at that, that means it's somewhere between, you look at the margin of error, Trump winning by 15 to Trump winning by 2.5 margin of error. So Trump winning by 2.5 to 15 if you take the 10 and open it up on a margin of error on either side. That's the possibility. On this poll, it varies between a 10-point Harris win and a Trump 3.5-point win. So there is a minor crossover. So what I mean by this is just because a poll comes out and says it's even, no, the margin of error is 4.5 points. You put 4.5 on one side and 4.5 on the other. It's a 9-point spread. Anywhere in here, they think the poll could land. I know it's crazy, right? But that's why you always hear margin of error. So the margin of errors do cross. They cross at the Trump winning by somewhere between 2.5 and 3.5 mark. So Trump wins by 3. If Trump only wins by 3 in Iowa, this race is over. So this poll nailed it in 2012, nailed it in 2016, nailed it in 2020, nailed it in 22 on certain races. And here we are. Is this the right poll? Is this the real poll? Is this the poll that is going to come through as the most respected? Is this going to be the shocker that's actually accurate, which she has been in the past 2 races? And by the way, the other 2 races favored Trump. In 16, everybody had it a tie, right? She showed a big lead, 7 points. Everybody pretty much had it almost a tie 4 years ago. Maybe a little advantage to Trump. She had a big margin for Trump. So she's not anti-Trump. You can't say that. This isn't like some, ABC poll that people say or Quinnipiac that's crazy. This is a real polling company. Are they correct? Is this an outlier? It could be. It could be. Now, this is one state that the governor has put a ban on abortion, has a very tight law there. And the women, I'm sure, are upset. Does this Iowa vote, let's say Trump won by 2 and she ends up being somewhat correct in the margin of error, is this just an Iowa issue? Or is this widespread women problem for Trump? And it's going to filter through all the states and he gets, maybe it's 2-3 points less in every state and he gets destroyed. I don't have the answers. You don't have the answers. Nobody has the answers. Seltzer doesn't have the answers. She can only poll. So I just wanted to give you that background of the fear out there of these pollsters being wrong, fear that we're gonna show Harris winning again by a large margin, and Trump ends up winning, or right? We're gonna look like failures. We are going to lose again as pollsters. We're gonna get crushed in the press once again, and no one's gonna hire us. Seltzer doesn't care. So you want to say you're a MAGA, you're going to say, oh, she must have it out for Trump. Hey, why would she? Why would she at this point? Could it be an outlier? Everybody has outliers. Everybody does. But this is something to look at nationwide. Most shocking poll we've ever seen that I've ever carried in years. And totally against what everybody else is coming up with, including the campaigns. So the campaigns are wrong. Both campaigns are wrong. And Seltzer showing in September only a 4-point gain by Trump, and now he's lost that by 7 points. Now, I will say this. October was a great month for Trump. So how do you go from 4 points, a 4-point lead in September, and then Trump has this great run in October, which I think we all can agree. Trump had a great run in October, 4 points up nationally, 4 points up throughout states, critical states, 2 or 3 points up in battlegrounds. And somehow out in Iowa, he loses 7 points more in October. This was done the 29th, 30th, and 31st. So we got to look at it. We got to look at it. We'll see. We won't know. We won't know till Tuesday. Guys, I appreciate you being with me today. Sorry about the late video again tonight, but we'll be back tomorrow. You know that. And we only have one more day to go. Everybody, you take care. I love you. Keep watching. We'll talk to you soon. See ya.